What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV, aka Darth Apocalypse. So let's get to this one. So, one of the most ridiculous things that we've heard. I would say I started hearing this shit maybe like 10 years ago, but then it became like a growing, consistent, you know, I guess in their mind, the truth, you know. Oh, let's tell the real truth on this situation with Mike and Scottie. And somehow you start seeing this new argument develop from LeBron fans. I don't even want to say LeBron fans. Really, you hear it from the Ladiclics. They're the worst subset of that fan base. They know absolutely nothing about basketball. Or if they do know about basketball, they purposely put out misleading and false arguments just to slander Michael Jordan and just to appease the most moronic of the LeBron fan base. That having been said, they started saying, well, Scottie Pippen was the real, the better player. And they would use misleading so-called nuggets of truth. Oh, Scottie led the Bulls to 55 wins. Well, how could that be? How could that be if Michael's the GOAT, if Mike's the best player? Well, Luka Doncic is probably going to win about the same amount of games, if not more games this year without LeBron. So wait till we start using that one. Because that's all it's about, right? You guys need the Lakers to fall, because if the Lakers actually are better without him, it kind of hurts the GOAT argument, doesn't it? But anyway, they use all these misleading arguments. And for those of us, when it comes to Scottie Pippen, even though those of us who actually watched Scottie Pippen play, although we know he was a fantastic player, there's levels to this. And Scottie Pippen is not in the same stratosphere when it comes to Michael Jordan. He's not. Matter of fact, the only reason why he's a top 75 player is because of his association with Michael Jordan and winning championships. Because if you strip away the championships, if you strip away the winning mystique that he has as a Chicago Bull, if he was so phenomenal as a basketball player, then what happened when he was playing with Akeem Olajuwon and Charles Barkley? What happened when he was playing with Rasheed Wallace, Bonzi Wells, Steve Smith, Damon Stoudemire? What happened when he was playing with all these great or near great players? Why did he continue to fail? Why was his individual performances so uneven and so subpar? Whereas Michael Jordan, when he went to the Wizards after being removed from the game for 3 years, with minimum talent around him outside of really Rip Hamilton, and Jerry Stackhouse is a question mark in my book about as far as the talent is concerned, why was he still barely missing the playoffs with no real talent around him? It's levels to this. And those of us who actually watched those two guys play, we know what time it is, man. We always thought that was a ridiculous argument. One guy that knew it was ridiculous was Roy Jones Jr., right? So I recently rewatched an old February 2004 interview featuring Jordan brand athletes, Michael Jordan, Warren Sapp, Roy Jones Jr., Derek Jeter, and Serena Williams. And Roy talked about how one time, and this is when the Bulls were playing, one guy came up to him and I guess they were talking with the Bulls, and he said one guy told him that Scottie Pippen was the best player on the Chicago Bulls. And this is how Roy Jones responded.
It just, like I say, you thank God for putting you in a position to where they can hate you. Because if they hating you like that, you're doing something right. Now, what almost happened to me one day, and this is the only time I may have almost lost my cool, when the Bulls was winning a lot. I always been a Michael Jordan fan. This guy comes up to me, this guy from my city, and we just got to playing basketball. And he comes outside and he says, you know what? Man, everybody's talking to, nah, Scottie Pippen the best player on that team. I stopped. Said, you know what? And at this time, I swear to God, I haven't never even met Michael before. I said, don't ever say that around me again. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go home. Because if you say that one more time to me, I'm going to jail. You understand me? I'm going to jail. And that's not only just for him. When you see an athlete that you know God got his hands on, don't come tell me nothing like that. Because really, you telling me that you got no respect for what I do and nobody else that's really dominating what they do, dominating what they do.
So,
Yeah, bravo, Roy. That's kind of what it is. Like if you start saying Scottie Pippen was better than Michael Jordan, now you're it's a below the belt insult, honestly. And that's not a knock on Scottie. It's just levels to this. It'll be akin to me saying, you know what? I think Kevin Love is better than LeBron James. Or, you know, LeBron James didn't start winning until he hooked up with Larry Hughes. He didn't start going to playoffs till he hooked up with Larry Hughes. Larry Hughes is the real key to that team. Larry Hughes and Mo Williams was better than LeBron. Now, intellectually, I know that's bullshit. That's bullshit. But that's cherry picking. That's using talking points totally out of context to connect one thing with the other when there's so many other factors involved. And that's what we have a lot of now. Just rage bait bullshit out there. But anybody that watched, and that's why Roy reacted so strongly. People forget, unlike Bill Russell, unlike Larry Bird, unlike Magic Johnson, unlike Tim Duncan, no disrespect, Jesse. I'm just making a point here. Hell, unlike Kobe, Michael went to a team that really did not have talent like that around him. Look, people say, oh, the year Michael joined the Bulls, they only won 38 games. But what you're forgetting is that the year before he arrived, they won 27. 27. Plus, if I'm not mistaken, the year before, you saw the departure of Reggie Theus, who was in his prime, an all-star level player. And the only other guy on his team capable of scoring 20 points a night was Orlando Woolridge, who was not a perennial all-star. Matter of fact, I don't think Woolridge was ever an all-star. If he was, maybe once. And that's about it. Even when Michael Jordan went to the Wizards, I said, well, he only won 37 games. But the year before he got there, they won 19. It was one of the worst teams in NBA history before Michael got there. And it still almost doubled their win total. He turned the Chicago Bulls, who were such a terrible franchise, that had they gone through another 5 to 6 years of financial difficulty and lack of team success, they probably would have been forced to relocate. Because remember, when Michael joined them, they were in the process of coming under new ownership. They were struggling financially, and the owner had given up on the franchise, if I'm not mistaken. They were struggling. And if they had continued to struggle, they would have been relocated and became something else. Michael saved the Chicago Bulls. And for you to, and not only did he save them, he turned them into a dynasty. No disrespect to the others, except for Tim Duncan because they weren't a dynasty before. But all those other franchises I mentioned, they already had championships. And with Tim Duncan, he had David Robinson there first. Michael, it was more just him. He elevated Scottie Pippen to become what he became. He elevated Horace Grant to be what he became. Because after Horace played with Mike, he really wasn't the same guy. It was no further growth in his game. But you saw that explosive growth in his game when he was under Michael's tutelage. When you saw Scottie Pippen come in the league, he was not some rookie of the year guy. He was averaging 7 points a game. He's the one that helped elevate Scottie Pippen to be an all-star level player. You can call him a dictator, you can call him hard to work with, but the blueprint for winning Michael Jordan gave, and it worked. He wasn't cheating the game. He wasn't trying to go out there and recruit all these other players. And another key thing that Roy Jones Jr. said in an interview that I just didn't choose to insert in this is that he said one of the things that he likes about being a solo athlete is one of the problems in team sports. Sometimes if you have teammates, sometimes athletes like to point the finger at other athletes and you don't take the blame. He says, the star, you need to take the blame. He said, when you don't have teammates, you have to worry about that. What does that sound like? A star player that don't want to take the blame when things don't go right. Anyway, salute to Roy Jones Jr. Tell me what you guys think.